XXXX is a brand of Australian beer brewed in Milton, Brisbane by Queensland brewers Castlemaine Perkins. It enjoys wide popularity in the state of Queensland, where it is commonly found on tap in pubs and bars. The XXXX brand was first introduced by Castlemaine in 1924 and is a throwback to the long-standing tradition of using XS to indicate the strength of an ale. The brand name also built upon XXX sparkling ale introduced in 1878. Beers. Currently sold brands include XXXX Bitter, a 4.4% ABV pale lager marketed under the brand XXXX. When ordering in Queensland, it is often referred to as XXXX Heavy. XXXX Gold, a mid-strength lager, 3.5% ABV. XXXX Gold is also a lower carb beer. When ordering in Queensland, the beer is simply referred to as Gold. XXXX Summer Bright Lager, a full-strength 4.0% ABV low-carb beer. Summer Bright is also available in both lime and mango flavor. XXXX Dry, marketed as an easy-drinking full-strength lager with a 4.2% ABV. As well as these, previous beers that are no longer in mass production are occasionally available in small, limited releases at the XXXX Alehouse and Restaurant, located on the same site as the brewery. In the past, these have included Thirsty Dog, a wheat beer popular in the 1990s. XXXX Draft, a less carbonated version of XXXX Bitter released in the 1970s, intended to replicate the unique taste of a beer from a wooden barrel. Carbine Stout, a stout brewed from 1915 to 2008, named after a famous racehorse from the 1890s. Castlemaine Best IPA, an India Pale Ale first brewed in 1918. In December 2019, the original XXX Sparkling Ale had a limited release in several bars across Brisbane CBD, including at the Alehouse. Other beers that are no longer available include XXXX Light, a lower alcohol beer at 2.3% ABV. XXXX DL Lager, a lower carbohydrate beer which was available at 4.4% ABV. XXXX Gold Australian Pale Ale, at 3.5% ABV. History. The XXXX brand was launched in 1924 by Castlemaine Brewers, named after the town of Castlemaine, Victoria, where the company was founded in 1857. The yellow and red label still bears the town's name. XXXX has been brewed in the Castlemaine Perkins Milton brewery since its introduction, and has featured an artist's sketch of its brewery on the label of beer bottles and cans. In the 1950s, the prominent XXXX illuminated sign was erected on the brewery. XXXX itself refers to a traditional grading system for strong beer. In 1992, Castlemaine Perkins was acquired by Australian beverage and food company Lion Nathan, who in turn were taken over by Japanese beverage conglomerate Kirin in 2009. In March 2016, XXXX Bitter was reduced from 4.6% to 4.4% alcohol by volume. Distribution. XXXX was brewed under license in the UK by InBev Ltd until 2009. It was commonly available in cans in British off-licenses and sometimes on tap in British pubs. At 3.7% alcohol, the British brewed XXXX was somewhat weaker than most of the Australian variants. Castlemaine XXXX was withdrawn from the UK at the end of June 2009 when InBev's licensing agreement expired. Iconography, advertising, and brand recognition. XXXX's mascot is Mr. Forex, a jovial cartoon man in a suit with a boater hat, who features on the city side of the Forex brewery at Milton. Mr. Forex is said to be modelled after Paddy Fitzgerald, a former director of the company. However, Mr. Forex had been conceived in 1924, and Fitzgerald started with XXXX only in circa 1933. A second theory is that the cartoon is modelled on a well-known dwarf who sold newspapers in the inner-city suburb of Fortitude Valley in the late 1920s. The true identity for the inspiration behind the cartoon remains a mystery. A common nickname used by the military was barbed wire, as the XXXX has the appearance of the fence product used in the outback. The second major campaign was launched in the early 1980s in the North Queensland area after the general manager of XXXX, Pat Holmbo, at the time heard of the locally famous Clinton Howe, a council road worker, being able to consume a very high quantity of the beer in a short time. The company was forced to close the campaign within the first few days of TV advertising following government pressure. An advertisement campaign from the 1980s and 1990s featured the tagline "Australians wouldn't give a XXXX for anything else." Most beers under the XXXX label are sold in Australia as 375 ml cans, 375 ml bottles and 750 ml bottles on tap, and all bottles have twist top lids. Underneath the twist top lids there are trivia questions. XXXX is still being served from wooden barrels at the Breakfast Creek Hotel in Newstead, Queensland. Whilst not cask conditioned, as in the case of British Real Ale, the beer is unpasteurized and delivered by gravity. In Terry Pratchett's Discworld series of fantasy novels, an Australian-like continent is named XXXX, pronounced 4X. XXXX's labels generally feature a depiction of the Milton brewery alongside the Ipswich railway line, presently with a Queensland Rail Emu in the foreground with the existing extensive railway fencing omitted. Prior labels had steam engines and diesels when those locomotives were more regularly seen in Brisbane.